Today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the DC3 Dakota, in this case painted up in the famous C-47 Skytrain. That's all, brother, the aircraft that led the D-Day invasion, owned and operated by the Commander of Air Force. And I actually was able to see this aircraft on its very first test flight over at Basler Turbo Conversions, which is where we are right now. We're going to not recreate that test flight because it was rather boring and mundane, but we'll do a simulated commemorative Air Force pattern over Whitman Field here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and take a look at the Dakota in the process. We're going to go through all the normal things that we do, take a look at the textures, take a look at the flight model, and then make some conclusions at the end. So without further ado, let's begin. Alright, without further ado, let's begin as we always do, taking a look at the textures of the aircraft. Now obviously the paint job on the aircraft is third party. We never take into consideration paint jobs. We're just here for the default aircraft textures, and those are all kept intact regardless of the livery applied to the aircraft. Stuff like the landing gear, stuff like the engine, and that sort of thing is all going to be the same regardless of your livery. So all in all, I think it's not bad. I think it could use a little bit of polish, especially on what I think are push rods. I think these are are these push rods? No, these are the push rods here. Oil senders? Fuel senders? Something like that. Pretty sure these are supposed to be straight. Straight lines. Or at least straighter than they are. Prop spinner looks very nice. That central hub. Very nice Hamilton standard propellers. Looks like we do have both cylinders modeled. I should say both banks of cylinders. This aircraft has, I believe, twin rows of cylinders. Yeah, you can see them right there, actually. Moving on, let's take a look at the main landing gear while we're here. Main's looking very, very nice. There's even some detail up inside of the gear bays, which again is looking very nice. Really nice reflection on, is that the brake? Yeah, this has disc brakes. Where's my caliper? Are you the caliper? Someone fill me in. Is the DC3 has disc brakes, didn't it? Or were they drums? No, those are totally discs. I just don't see a caliper. I wonder, I've got, oh wow, look at all that. High voltage engines running. I mean, just tons and tons of detail in here. I'm loving that. We'll get to the cabin in just a bit. I do want to really quick look and see if you guys won't see this unless I find a picture to confirm it. So here. There you go. There's a nice sunset with some laggy birds in the background while I search this really quick. Let's go to you. It appears they are not disc brakes. Looking at, you guys probably have seen the photo that I would have included earlier, but for reference, that's the image that I'm looking at. This is an image that I took of that little brother on its flight out at AirVenture back in, I couldn't even tell you, a good while ago, but it looks like no disc brakes on the DC3, although, see here, I have another image of a different DC3, and it does have the disc brakes, so not sure. I can't speak to it. It looks like they're not present on That's All Brother or Placid Lassie here. So, but got an Air Force variant that does have, so kind of a toss-up. I'm guessing there's a variation of the DC3 that does and does not have disc brakes, so I'm not going to mark down for that. It's just interesting that they've got the really shiny material there and then no actual discs, but I'm not going to continue or linger on that any longer. Positive comment I had earlier on when I was doing the overview for all these airplanes. Really, really nice landing light. Excuse me, very nice landing light model there. Navigations on the wingtips. Those look outstanding as well. Good amount of loss on the riveting and that sort of stuff on the underside of the wing. Once you get a little bit of ways away, it's not too bad. Moving to the empennage. Let's see, we've got, tell it's a DC3 actually right here. So if you are ever wondering and you can't get close enough to tell a DC3 versus a C47, the DC3 has this very nice, long, continuous stretch on the empennage, whereas the C47s had a little notch cut out here for a resting hook in the event of an emergency if they needed to stop the airplane quickly. There's a notch cut out of there. I'm not sure if that holds true for all of the C47s, but all of the ones that I've seen, it has held true for, so... BT67s versus C47s versus DC3s? Turboprops. They got turboprops, so... this is what Basler Turbo Conversions is known for, is they'll take older DC3s like this and completely overhaul the aircraft. It actually has a new STC and everything once it's done. Supplemental Type Certificate. Once everything's all said and done, because they do so much work to the airframe. I think they elongate it, they structurally improve it in places, they overhaul avionics, interiors, they'll do pretty much anything you want, and then they slap on a nice twin set of PT6A turbine engines. But all in all, I can't complain too much about the exterior details. Let's take a look inside here. I need to open my doors. Let's do that. We'll go back outside. So we've got a cargo door here. Obviously this would be more geared towards the default DC3, as well as a little step there. Obviously a real C47's. I would imagine this whole area here, this bulkhead is removed and paratroopers can jump out as they need. Nice lavatory. And a galley. How about that, huh? Yeah, they were flying in style back then. Very nicely modeled cabin. No complaints from me here. Oh, too high. Too high. Oh, there you go. Little through door here. Then we've got some extra baggage stuff here. I'm not sure what this guy is, but some electrical panel, obviously. Radio equipment, possibly. Lots of vintage radio equipment. Very, very, very high detail, considering that you're never going to see this from a normal flying position. Pilot and co-pilot door, or flight crew door, I should say. Right, almost perfectly in line with a prop, if I'm not mistaken. So if we, oh, come here. We go out this door, yeah, there's the prop. So, hence the, danger sign there. Junction box, I think that's the, old world term for, circuit breakers and fuses. And we come up to our cockpit, which again is very nicely modeled. Whoa, ho, 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 very nicely modeled. Zero complaints from me. Exterior glass. I'm not a huge fan of the total level of dirt. I do like some weathering on my aircraft. But I feel like if an aircraft got to this level of debris and such on the windows, that someone would probably want them cleaned. But I don't know. Well, there's little wheel chocks now that we open the doors. That's cool. Taking a look in the cockpit here. From the pilot's perspective, all nice crystal clear instrumentation. Even on the FO side. Very nice hydraulic, I don't even know, is that a hydraulic pump for the wipers? Yeah, there's one on each side. You got, these are your wiper controls here. These guys. So I'm assuming it's like a small hydraulic pump to actuate the wipers. No real big complaints with texturing or lettering. I mean, some textures fall apart. Like this little quilty guy here is a little bit lower poly at high zoom levels, but anything reasonable and you're fine. Fully operational engine pump selector, emergency shutoff valves, emergency gear extension, and your flap selector down below. All fully functional, as you can see from my little glowing hand friend here. So without further ado, let's hop, well, we're already inside, let's continue inside, and we will get started here. I'm actually just going to do this one cut to make my life a little bit easier in the editing world. I'm going to shut this window here, and I'm going to request ground power. And we're going to turn on our position lighting. Both of those switches are tied, so if you turn on one, it turns on both of them. Let's go ahead and shut our doors in the rear. Fuel selector, we want left main for the left engine. And right main for the right engine. Excuse me, I would like to turn on my automatic switcher. Then we'll advance our props to full, mixture to auto rich. Selector should automatically be on. We're going to go ahead and prime the left-hand engine. Make sure position. Left prime again. Energize the left-hand side. Left-hand booster pump. Come on, work with me here. Let that run for just a little bit while the Energizer comes up. We're going to go ahead and crack our throttle just a little bit. And we'll mesh our starter. Clear. For those of you who are wondering where I took those photos, it was right there. Literally right there-ish. Where all the shiny, when the airplane was all shiny, is where I was standing. He gave us a nice bat of prop wash. The engines were still a little bit smoky from the preservation oil that they had in them, so that was fun to breathe in. This is taxiway Delta at Whitman Regional Airport. It's the taxiway that leads to both Basler turbo conversions as well as the Fox Valley Technical College S.J. Spanbauer Center, which is where... Alright, and those of you who are a little bit more eagle-eyed may or may not have noticed it's a different day. Video games with friends came calling, so that took precedent, but nonetheless, it's a no interruption for you guys. Let's go ahead and get the C-47 up in the air. I probably should do a quick wind check. I didn't actually do that. I don't see... Okay, there's a windsock. Oh yeah, winds look to be pretty good, actually. Straight up and down the runway. Let's go ahead, park brake off, landing lights are already on. No strobes to worry about. Let's go ahead and increase power ever so slightly. Or ever so slowly. Fuel pressure lights have extinguished. Keep increasing that manifold pressure till we're in the green. And up to 45. Roll the props back just a hair. Whoa. Getting crosswindy. Go airborne. Hold on the brakes. Gear coming up. Start trimming nose down. Boy, does she want to fly. Lights, the landing lights at least, definitely could use some work as far as the illuminators go. This is the default lighting pack for this airplane, no new light mod. There we go, that's all brother now in the air at Oshkosh. The actual first flight that they did was off of runway 27, which we're now A beam? Oh, that windsock directly disagrees. We just took off into a tailwind. Well, it was relatively uneventful, so I won't complain. Now, those of you guys who watched my initial video on the DC3 noted that I loved the engine sound, and that still holds true. This is one of the most true-to-life, I think, engine sounds for a default airplane in the sim. I could not be happier with it. It sounds amazing. I mean, those of you who heard DC3s, and they're pretty, DC3s or C-47s, they're relatively common airplanes, so hopefully it's a good percentage of you can attest to how accurate, at least from the outside, this sounds. I've never been inside of a DC3 while it's in flight. I've been fortunate enough to be on board a few ground taxiings when the aircraft is running, but no actual flights. Well, I'm not a SkyWest airplane.
Oshkosh Tower, SkyWest tree, 42 frequency change.
Let's go, let's yell at him. Yeah, Oshkosh Tower, we're not a SkyWest airplane, so get that straight. Here we go, okay. Oh, there's a bird we almost slammed into. All in all, the airplane's relatively docile as far as your controls. If you really start reaming on them, then it gets a little bit finicky. The biggest thing right now that I'm running into as far as control issues go is just keeping coordinated. You can see my turn coordinator down there. I'm chasing that ball pretty continuously. That may just have to do with the winds that we're dealing with here, though. Alright, so in all that talking, I failed to get properly set up and established for that right-hand circuit, so we're pretty far outside our turn loop here. Let's go ahead and start banking in. It's really interesting. This thing wants to fly until it doesn't, and then when it doesn't, you're going wing over and you're stalling, and maybe we'll demonstrate that towards the end of our flight here. Give ourselves enough altitude to recover. So not quite yet, but just off the tip of our nose there, that's Oregon Street in Oshkosh, and they were borderline at Oshkosh Street and cranking it in over to runway 36. They were a little bit to the east, but not by a whole lot. They just kept this right-hand orbit going. It'll be interesting to see what, if any, changes the Command Air Force makes after that unfortunate crash between Texas Raiders and their King Cobra down in Dallas not too long ago. Still waiting on a full investigation by the NTSB. There is a preliminary one out. I might do a follow-up video on that one. We'll have to see. Alright, here's our first pass for runway 36. At Oshkosh. And as we come up to Papa 2, we'll start ascending and climbing out to the right. There's Papa 2. Let's start our climb and our bank. Hold this relative bank angle. Keep a really shallow climb going if we can. Fall Colors brought to you by Baijan Seasons. I can report that it ain't looking like this in the Midwest right now. The trees are completely lax of foliage, but didn't want to do that. There's a helo down there. Okay, you not get the memo? Skybox is closed. Alright, now on our downwind. At runway 36. Looking for our turning landmark. Just see it there. We'll use that little green roofed gazebo. We're a little bit outboard of what I suspect the flight path was, because I believe this is a very affluent neighborhood down here, and they probably don't want a whole lot of airplanes over their houses. Alright, start turning her in, start a shallow descent at runway 36. We're going to come in on the right-hand side of runway 36 this time. We're going to do runway 36 right is what they call it during AirVenture. It's actually just a taxiway, but we're going to line up on 36 right for this next pass. A little bit of nose back. Alright, the plates for 36 left are now in sight. We're lining up for 36. I'm sorry, 36 left is now in sight. Here's runway 36 left. Lining up for that now. Coming in over the top. Freight train in the background. Bird strike. The Douglas DC3 Skytrain. There's Papa 2. And there is a good-looking airplane. So your radials are way past my time growing up, but there is something really cool about some of these old radial airplanes, getting into them and flying them in flight sim. We're going to depart the airspace now, head over Lake Winnebago, and probably head south to Fond du Lac, and in the process keep climbing. And I'll see if I can show you guys that wingtip that this airplane is very, very, very prone to at low speeds and high angles of attack. There's another bird strike for us. Lights. We're going to go ahead, keep manifold pressure in the green, and keep our props set exactly where they are. We'll just start nosing back on the airplane, increasing our rate of ascent until we get a wingtip. There's 2,000. Now 3,000 feet per minute. We'll hold 3,000 feet per minute. So our airspeed's dropping off pretty good. You can hear the stall buffeting. You hear the big shake on the airplane. This is all default. No flight sim realistic. Full right aileron. Airplane does not care. We're going back in hard. Let's pull back on the power here. Recover. Very cool. Now we've got that high-speed wind over the airframe as we encroached on 200 knots. I think we've got the altitude to do that one more time. So let's again get turned back towards the field here. Rest that descent, turn it into a climb. 2,000 feet per minute. 3,000 feet per minute. Leveling off. To 4,000. Hold this pitch. Keep level on the instruments. There's the buffet. There's the buffet. Hard left rudder. Let's fly into the stall this time. We are vertical. Dead vertical over the top Pretty sure C-47s aren't rated for this. That's the gear alarm. I've got the throttle power at idle now as I'm pulling out of this. At 200 knots. Excellent. It's very... It's 250 engines to auto rich. Some power back in. Further increase our rate of descent. I bet this looks hilarious from the outside. Okay, right on at 250 now. We are rapidly approaching our VME. Roll on a little more power as we decrease our descent. Right on the red line for manifold pressure. Increase our props to the red line. Governor doing its job. Just under 250 knots from airshow rate. The Douglas DC3. Alright, a lot of airspeed to lose. ...112 miles an hour until we start dropping flaps. More aggressive than I wanted. Alright, there's 100. First notch of flaps in. And gear coming down. Brake lights on. I don't, this aircraft, I don't believe, what was that, aircraft bug? This aircraft, I believe, does not actually use notches for flaps. I think it's just a handle, and as you pull it in, it opens a valve that further increases and decreases your flap setting. Fox River Mall, or Fox River Mall, Fox River, right off the nose. An interesting one. It's going to be a real aggressive crosswind landing. Let's get the airplane trimmed out. Alright, props to full. Mixture is auto rich. Turbulence coming in here. Keep staying hot off. Stop as far to the left of the runway as I can, because that crosswind is really going to wreak havoc on us. Add in some rudder. Some left aileron, power to idle, right wheels down, left wheels down, full left rudder now. Oh, ground loop, come on. Well, that's why you don't land in crosswinds, friends. But nonetheless, that is the beautiful, the gorgeous, the world-famous Douglas DC3. painted in the C-47 library. Well, that's all, brother, the aircrafts that led the D-Day invasion of Normandy. Probably one of my favorites in the 40th anniversary updates. But that's going to do it for this video, you guys. Closing on out here. I'm going to go take this over to Kermit Weeks, assuming I can get it to cooperate with me. I think my tail wheels all jacked up, all kinds of jacked up. What are you doing, dude? There you go. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. We'll just stop here on 2.7. That's fine. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I do dearly appreciate it. We'll start ramping up the 40th anniversary airplanes a little bit more. I think we'll move on into two of the less interesting ones, I'll call them, next. And then from there move to the final few that I actually have interest in. Once again, thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. And as always, take it easy.